Absolute banger. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make house music in the style of Oliver Heldens. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know over the past few months I've been making loads of tutorials in specific genres and they've had such an amazing response. I decided to make another one, and today the focus is house music. I'm using Ableton Live, but you can follow along in any DAW as the techniques still apply, and you can follow along using only the stock plugins that come in your DAW. We will be going into that fat Oliver Heldens bass. We will be going into those house music drums. We will be creating an awesome chord progression from scratch and finding vocals that work with it.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection desire, let's get it started.
And we're going to be covering some mixing, some layering, some arrangement, the whole works. This one's really in depth. I've also included all the presets and the samples and the project file, which you can download completely free below this video. If you dig it, subscribe to my channel, smash like, and without further ado, let's hop into the DAW and get it done. Okay, let's do it. Oliver Heldens in a one-take billio. First thing I'm going to do is choose the tempo, 124 BPM. Then we're going to name it. I'm going to call it Oliver Hell Yeah. Because why not, huh? Okay, anyway, kicks. Let's get a kick in there. I'm going to use audio, but you can totally use MIDI if you prefer. The reason I'm using audio is so I can just have a bit more control over the shape of the kick. So if we go in there, I'm going to turn it down a couple of semitones just to make it a bit weightier, a bit beefier, like a beef stew. Actually, no, like a beef bourguignon. Yeah, like beef. Right, so I'm just going to duplicate that, lovely jubbly, nice big fat house beat. Then I'm going to turn it down to -10 just so we don't have clipping on the master channel. And next is the big fat Oliver Heldens bass line. We're going to do this with layering, so it's a bit in depth, but today is a really in-depth mission actually. Don't forget, download all of these presets below. So wavetable, let's build this from scratch. So let's just start building it up. Wavetable, lovely. So we'll start with the saw wave, and then we're going to add some interest to this. So we'll open this up quickly and let's add some movement. So first I'm going to take the filter right down and we're going to apply envelope 2 to this filter. So envelope 2, well, first select the filter. So you can already hear it's got some movement, like a pluck. Lovely. But we want more movement than that, don't we? Everybody loves movement. So what we're going to do is choose a warp mode. Which is quite cool. But we're going to apply that to envelope 2 as well. Just to add some movement. There you go. Take it down an octave. Cool, let's just record that then. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, well, we're going to have to tweak that, but basically for this tune we're going to have a drop, which is what we're working on now, and then we're going to have a chord progression in the main break, and that is very Oliver Heldens style as well. So first let's kind of make this bass line sound a bit fatter. I'm just going to tweak the ones that we drew in, just quantize it like this, and make sure they're all the same velocity because I want them all sounding the same. I'll just tweak the length of some of them. And I'm going to add more groove and interest to this, like so. And just dropping a couple of the notes by an octave by holding shift and pressing down. Let's just duplicate those lower notes. That's where I hit a wrong note. No worries. The joy of not playing live is that you can actually change stuff afterwards. Wow, it's like the future today. That's pretty cool to me. So let's make this really fat and really Oliver Heldens, or Oliver Hell yeah. Dum dum. The way we're going to do that is add another oscillator. Oh no, let's apply this LFO to something, because why not? Let's apply it to this fold. Whoops, I'm applying the wrong thing. I meant to do it on the LFO. Okay, that's not doing much, but whatever. Let's apply it to something else instead. So I'm going to choose a different shape here. Let's look for a kind of pulse wave. Oh yes. Hello. Hello, Pulsey. I'm going to tweak envelope 2, which is our filter envelope, a bit. See, it's kind of giving it that pluck sound. Let's add some resonance. But I want to do something with this pulse wave to make it more interesting. So let's choose another warp. And we're going to apply LFO2 to this warp instead. And now to make it really fat and wide, let's add some unison. And don't worry, we're going to add the sub bass too, and we'll take out the sub bass of this bass line to make sure that it doesn't matter that it's really wide, so we don't run into phase issues. Yeah, now we're getting there. Now we're getting some Heldens in the house. That's fat enough for me. Is that fat enough for you? I do hope so. Right, okay, let's duplicate this, call it sub bass. Lovely jubbly, and I'm just going to name this sub bass 2. Now let's get this sub bass done. The reason I've duplicated it is so it's got the same ADSR settings, which means that the sub bass is going to be pretty much the same shape as the main bass. So we'll turn off unison because it's a sub bass and we don't want unison. I'm going to change it to mono because we don't want more than one sub bass note playing at once, otherwise we'll run into issues. I'll turn off oscillator 2. Oscillator 1, I'll just choose a simple sine wave. Oh, it's still got that cool pluck sound from something or other happening. Yeah, I'm going to leave that though because it sounds dope, but this is going to be our sub bass. So we can try dropping it an octave by selecting them all and holding shift down. No, that's too low. We'll keep it there then. But we're going to leave this one mono and we're going to take out the low end of this one so it doesn't clash. But this top one, whoops, this top or main bass is going to be kind of stereo. Now let's add some even more fatness to it by adding an amp before the EQ so we can take out the low frequencies and just dialing some of this in. You can hear it's just kind of fattening it up, and it's all about the layering when it comes to these Oliver Heldens style bass lines. Next thing I'm going to do, and this is kind of a bit more complicated than you need to go, but you know, whatever. I've got so much to teach you today, guys, so stay tuned because we've got mixing and arrangement and vocals and all that good stuff. But anyway, let's get this guitar bass in there. I'm just going to use Ableton Live's packs, so I'll go to bass, guitar and bass. I'll try this one, see how it sounds. Again, I might end up deleting it just to add fatness. So let's have a listen. That's fat, mate. But it's really the high end in this we want, so we could put them up an octave. Oh yes, mate. Okay, let's have a listen. That might be too much. It just adds the kind of mid-range to it. So I'm grouping them all together so I can process them all together. Let's call it bass. And then we're going to put some sidechain compression on there as well. I'm going to boost this one a bit actually. Maybe it sounds better lower down. And I'm going to add this really cool thing which I've never shown you before, which is guitar kind of slidey sounds to make it sound a bit more realistic. And again, I'm just going to use an Ableton thing for this. So it's in the guitar and bass pack. So just some little slides to make it sound like the guitar bass is actually being played. And it won't sound perfect. To be honest, the Contact bass patches are better than the Ableton ones, but I wanted to do it all in Ableton today so you guys can download it, which you should not forget to do. Okay, and we're going to make those quite low in the mix. It's just really careful little details that make all the difference when it comes to a pro sound. So let's just consolidate that. Guitar slides, color it green, and then that's pretty much it for the bass. I know we spent a lot of time on it, but it's so important to Oliver Heldens' sound, so that's why we spent so much time on it. Okay, let's add some sidechain. And the way we're going to do that is just stick a normal compressor on the bass group, open it up, let's call it SC Compo, like from Last of the Summer Wine, old reference there. Okay, now let's get that pump happening. So I'm taking the audio input from my sidechain channel, which is here. It's just got a signal being played that you can't hear because if you look at the routing, I've got it set to sends only instead of master, so you can't actually hear it playing, but it does trigger the sidechain compressor. Now I want that guitar bass to be really wide as well, so what I'm going to do is add, this is the only thing I'm going to use not from Ableton, it is the Ozone Imager 2, and I'm going to just use that to make that bass wide. You can download it from the link below. Yes mate, fat. Okay, next thing we're going to do is the chord progression for the break. Now this is actually in the key of D minor natural, so if we press fold, whoops, if we go through all the notes in D minor natural, you can hear that that's what this bass line is written in. So that is what we're going to do the chord progressions for the break in. And to do this, I'm going to get a sound. What sound should I get? I really want an organ sound, so I'm actually going to use Massive. Like, yeah, I'm going to use massive, tough luck. If you don't have it, then you can just find an organ sound in an Ableton thing, but I always use Ableton plugins, so I want to use something different today. I'm just going to go to organs and have a quick listen. Oh, churchy. That's cool. I'm going to use Amber Chapel. Now the way I'm going to do this is just jam in these chords. So, D minor. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you how I do that. If you can't play the piano, then it's fine, because we're going to use my template technique. So let's just call this chords. And if we draw in all the notes of D minor natural, and you can look those up online, like so. Now we just duplicate them up and down, one octave, whoops, down an octave, and then up an octave, starting from D, and then press fold. We've now got 3, count them, 1, I've forgotten how to use my fingers, 1, 2, 3. Then we've got 3 octaves of D minor natural. So let's draw. I'm going to start the bass note being A sharp. It doesn't matter because they're all within the same key. And then to draw chords in, you just have to miss a note in between each one whilst you're using this template technique. And then you can experiment within that framework. Like so, and then you can change things up at the beginning of, sorry, the end of the bar. Like so. Let's just duplicate that. Now I'm going to show you something really cool, and don't forget, download everything below this video. You can have this massive preset as well, or you can just copy the MIDI files from it into your own patch in Ableton. But I'm going to show you how to use a note from outside of that key. Ooh. So I want to switch things up in the second part of the second chord progression, and I'm going to change these last 2 chords into a major chord. Now the way I'm doing this, if we go back to how it was and I press fold again, like so, all of these notes are currently within the key of D minor natural because we drew the template in and that's the way it works. But if you want to change it to, if you want to change a chord to a major chord or to a minor chord from a major chord, you can just change the third. I know that sounds confusing, but if this is the first, because it's D, which is the root note of the scale, D minor natural, the clue's in the name, that's the second note, do, which means that's the third, which is the chord, but it's a minor third. So to make it a major third, you just move it up 1 semitone. So now it's major. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it into a sus4 chord. If you want more info about this, just check out my music theory for EDM producers course. It makes it all really clear, but this is a sus4 chord. And then we're going, God no. This is embarrassing. Let's put it on the actual fourth. Okay, there we go. Forget that. Rewind. So there is our chord progression, which is actually epic, I've been told by my brain and my heart. So anyway, we're going to get back to that and we're going to add some vocals to it. So the next thing on my magic list is the groove. We've got to have some beats, man. This is house music. Come on. What's wrong with you? So let's get this Oliver Heldens groove, get it going on. That's fat, mate. Okay, I'll stop saying that's fat, mate. So first thing, of course, is a clap. So I'm just going to go to my drum hits folder and just going to like listen through some of them. I mean, you can check them out on Splice or Loop Cloud as well, of course, but I'm just going to I'm just going to program them in here, and then I'm going to do a hot swap and listen to a few and find one that works well. That's a bit weak, but I'll program it in first. Every other kick. That's cool. I'm actually going to use one of my favorite claps as well. This is the beauty of having favorites folders, by the way. You know if something's going to work, you can use it again. I know this is a good clap, 909 clap. So I'm just going to layer it with the one I found there. I'll take off some of that decay, make it snappier. Okay, now let's add a bit of kind of depth to that. The way I'm going to do that is if you press this button here and then this button here, you can press create chain and then you can assign your main auxiliary channels to your drum rack, which I've done if I can actually find it again. So that means I can feed in some of my normal room reverb to my clap. And I'll just reduce the decay time, tighten it up. You can see we've got some issues with clipping here, so what I'm going to do is I'll take the bass down. And then we've got a bit more space there. And then we are going to add the extra drums. So that would be a hi-hat, obviously, but we're going to use a closed hat first. So I'm just going to go to drum hits, closed hats. And look, it pays to have everything organized well. This one will do. I can close this now, by the way. And it just shows my reverb controls here, which is nice. So let's, well, that's a very quiet sample. So just every other beats like that. Turn it down a bit, it's a bit loud. And now we're going to add a bit of a kind of extra shuffle in there just to really get that groove going. It's all about the groove. I mean, that could be said of dance music. That's cool, nice and crisp. So let's just add a couple of 16ths. Like that. Cool, okay, that's pretty much the main groove of our drums. But we obviously need it to sound fuller and more interesting than that, so we are going to add, what's on my magic list today? Some guitar funk, because we've got that funky feeling. So let's open up Loop Cloud for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a MIDI channel. I'm going to load in the Loop Cloud thingy, and you can get Loop Cloud below. I think it's a free trial or something. And then when you've got a MIDI channel, it will actually sync to your DAW. So if we now look for guitar, and then we look for, it's going to be synced to, it's going to be synced to Ableton really, so we can start playing them. Let's turn off all of these filters, and then we're going to start from scratch. So okay, guitar, we want it to be funky, so we're going to choose funk, and we want it to be in the key of D minor natural ideally, although you could just find one and change the key afterwards, which would be fine. Funk, D minor, guitar. Okay, I'm going to go instruments guitar. Maybe that's why it wasn't working. Here we go. And now let's have a listen. And it should be playing in sync now. That sounds good to me. I'll have that. So you can just drag and drop when you've bought it into Ableton. Whoops. That was into a MIDI file. A MIDI channel. You want to drag it into an audio channel, of course, because it's a sample. There we go. So I'm going to delete the Loop Cloud because its process is going a bit crazy now. So let's just tweak this and get it fitting in with our groove. I don't want all of the sounds in there. First I have to sync it. You can see here it says 114. So we'll warp it 114, and now it's going to be in sync with our track. I'm actually going to just play with it like this. That's cool. I'm just kind of chopping it up a bit just for fun, see what happens. That's cool. So all I'm going to do there is just call it Funky Lick Baby. Then I'm going to consolidate it into audio like so, and then I can just loop that. If I turn loop on. I want a little shuffle at the end actually, I missed that, so I won't loop it, I'll just add that manually. That's better. So let's just copy and paste that. Duplicate, Command and D all the way along. Now let's make it really wide with another one of those super cool free ozone images. We'll get to you, Mr. Chord. Not yet though. Cool, now let's add a bit of that sidechain pump as well with compo. Funky Lick. Yes. Okay, now let's do it. We've got the main drop, and don't worry, we will be going into the arrangement very soon, but let's check out these chords. Let's add some reverb. So I've got this hall reverb, which is just a longer decay time. I'll feed some of that in to make it sound really epic. And now let's build how this is going to work. So maybe I won't make it that long for the sake of this demonstration, but we're going to add a filter to that to kind of introduce it slowly. So if we go EQ filter, And then we're just going to automate the low end. Sorry, automate the filter cutoff. And you know this is going to work because if you took that bass line like so, it's a bit low at the moment. So if we went in and we kind of grabbed them all and put them up a couple of octaves, it would actually work as a melody because it's in the same key. So let's just listen to it just for the sake of example. And then when it goes back into the drop, obviously it still works. I'm not going to say what I said already. Anyway, where were we? That's right, we were doing the break. So let's get some vocals because we need some vocals on this. Very, you know, a lot of Oliver Heldens' new stuff has got vocals in it. So what we are going to do is first keep things organized, nice and organized. Nothing says creativity like organization. Organ. Now let us decree some vocals for me. That can go on a t-shirt as well if you want it. Let me know. Comment, subscribe, smash like. Now let's get another. Let's do this in Loop Cloud again. So if we open up Loop Cloud, and now let's search for a vocal. So all you do is go Instruments, Vocal, and we want a female vocal. So you can go female. Now we don't care about the genre, we just care about the key. So we can go minor, D minor, and then let's see what's going on. Now I actually downloaded some earlier, so I'm just going to use those. But again, you just kind of press play and then preview them.
Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging. The music's banging. I'll show you mine, just watch, yeah.
Yes, that is cool. So let us drag. And on the fourth day he said, let us drag, and draggeth was done. Okay, no, it's Friday. Yes, I'm excited. I've got mates coming over later. We got some drinks ready. Okay, I just got distracted by the thoughts of mates and drinks. Let's just drag this in. 115 BPM, so we'll warp that. Oh, it's one of these Rex files. That's annoying. Okay, we can see it's 115 BPM. Don't worry, if you drag in a Rex file into Ableton, this is the way I do it. Just set your project to 115. Then when it's 115, you can just you can just consolidate your Rex file, and then it makes it a WAV file. Then put your tempo back to 124. Boom. Job is a good one, I hope. And I'm going to choose it to Complex Pro because it's the best algorithm for warping vocals. Let's have a listen.
Don't fight the feeling. Don't fight the feeling.
Okay, it's half speed, so.
Don't fight the feeling. Don't fight the feeling.
That's not right. I feel like everything I've told you within the last 40 seconds is wrong.
Don't fight the feeling. Let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah.
That sounds weird. I don't know what I've done, but whatever it wasn't right. So I'm going to drag them in again. Oh, it's annoying that that's a Rex file. Let's have a listen, see what's going on.
Don't fight the feeling. Let's get revealing.
Oh.
Show me the move.
Okay. So it actually worked automatically, correctly. So forget everything I just said and drag that Rex in. Drag it in, baby.
Don't fight the feeling. Let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging. The music's banging. I'll show you mine, just what.
Now don't worry, we will be working on those vocals. I'm just going to add another vocal track. That's going to be our drop vocals, but I'm going to get something a bit more epic for the break.
With me.
Yeah, I'm going to use this one for the break.
With me. I got it, what you say. Come show me what you stand for. Stop looking, walk this way. Took time to hit the dance floor. I got it, what you say. Come show me what you stand for. Me.
Okay, it's weird. It kind of starts in a weird place. Let's have a look.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire.
Yeah, I like that one.
Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
Yeah, this is our epic one for the break. That's Loop Cloud done today. Bye bye, Loop Cloud. Thanks for your help. Much appreciated. Come back next time. So now I'm going to warp this 115. This wasn't a Rex file. This is a WAV file. Now you'll hear how epic this sounds with the chords.
Yeah, burning like fire. Yeah, burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get.
I want that to be a different, like, come in as a different place.
Burning like fire.
That's okay.
Pulling like a wire. Connect.
I want that ek to be on the bar.
Pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get.
And this is going to come in earlier. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Yes, that's how it's supposed to be. Why didn't you sing like that, Burn Femme Voc? That's much better.
Oh, your mind just watch, yeah. Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
This is what we're going to be doing. Let's have it loop. We're going to make this sound a bit bigger now. We're going to add some of that whole reverb on it.
Yeah, burning like fire, pulling like a wire.
I'm also going to add some delay on it just to make it a bit more interesting. So I'm going to do that on an auxiliary channel. Echo. I thought I just created an auxiliary channel. Okay, I didn't. Okay, 100% wet because it's on an auxiliary channel.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
Ping pong.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
I wanted a really quite a tight, close delay, just to add a bit of weight to it.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
And then on the second one we can
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire. Connection, desire. Let's get it started.
this bit we're going to loop because we're bad boys. And the reason we're going to do that is because on the drop we are going to add some more atmosphere. So I'm going to grab this, paste it over here. She can shut up for a second. And then we are going to just have this like a background atmosphere almost with our beats. And I'm going to add some reverb just to smooth out the sound a bit. just so it's literally a background atmosphere to fill it out a bit. So if we put a sidechain compressor on that again, it's going to jam in time with our beats. So check it out. This is the drop, except we're not going to have the beats come in straight away. It would be drop. It would be more like this. So let's just do a bit of arrangement now then. Okay, so we're going to add some space in front of that with Command and I. We are going to copy all of what we've just done there and then paste it here. So this is basically going to be what the drop is like. We'll take that away, take out the drum sounds apart from the claps. Okay, so it's going to be like this. In fact, let's arrange as we go because it's going to make more sense. We'll get rid of these kicks so we can add a bit of a drum intro, and for this there's a few things you could do. I just kind of go onto Splice and look for a drum intro, just because it's going to give you a different, it's going to sound like it's coming from a slightly different place, which is kind of what Oliver Heldens does. Use a real drum sound for an intro, which is quite cool. So I found one earlier, I think. Did I? Maybe not. No, I didn't actually, but you could do, and I'm just going to get one from my folder because I thought I found one earlier, but I didn't. These are all a bit complex. So let's listen to these Vengeance ones, which are really cool. Like, we don't need... What's that? This is crazy. Okay, I'm just going to use something else. We want just a real drum sound. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so let's try that. Let's make sure it's in sync. We can see here. I'm going to warp it. I don't think you can see from the transients if it's hitting where it should be. So let's just get it. That's probably about right. So that should be in the tempo. But we'll choose a better algorithm. Yeah, that's it. Okay. But I want a bit of silence just before the drop to make it hit harder. Yeah, like that. That's all. That's all we're going to do for the intro. So, this is the drop. Oh, that's a bit loud. Let's turn those claps down. So you can kind of mix as you go to a degree. Now we are going to add an open hat because it needs more energy there. So let's go to open hats, and then we've got mixing and a bit more arrangement and some really cool effects. So you want to stick around for those because I haven't shown you how to make your bass just kind of blow your listeners away. So let's just get an open hat, and again I'm going to go to drum hits, hi-hats open, and I'm just going to preview some. I'll program it in and then I'll preview it as I play. Whoops, wrong place. I want it all in the same place. Okay, So let's just program them in. I don't want them playing past where I've drawn the MIDI, so I'll tell release to 0, sustain to full. Like, that's quite harsh sounding, so we'll change that. And we'll turn it down a bit because that's way loud, bruv. That's cool. You basically want something that fits in with the frequencies of the other sounds and complement. It's all about sound selection. That's going to do for now. I like that. I think it sounds pretty fat. Okay, so let's get that impact really cracking. I'm going to add some white noise to it. I can't believe how much I'm showing you today. Woo! Anyway, it's Friday. Why not? Let's just blow this bad boy out of the water. So I'm going to go to Instruments, and then I'm going to Instrument Rack and choose one that I made. Here's one I made earlier, my white noise. White noise. And I've created this macro stuff, and this comes with this download as well, by the way, so you can use this that I made. And then I'm just going to do a little white noise impact. And you could even add some compression to that to make it pump a bit. And a little bit of a cheeky cymbal just to smash that drop, make it sound really big. Drum hits, cymbals. It's not going to be too loud and in your face. Let's get. That's probably going to do. Nothing too big and quite quiet. Cool. Now I want something bigger than that. That's a bit much. We'll just leave it for now. Okay, I want to fatten this up even more. What we're going to do is put the kick and the bass together, and we're just going to whack a saturator over the whole thing. Saturator. Let's do it. Kick and bass. Just a tiny bit. We'll turn it down as well. Okay, this is how we make the bass smash, as I said before. So if we go to the bass now, we could even add a little bit of bass reverb on the top reverb. Maybe that's a bit much for this tutorial. Oh, I deleted bass. Oh no, it's on D now. Yeah, we can add a tiny bit. I need to get up, turn it on the speakers. Yes! Control yourself, man. Okay, let's smash this into the break, and then we'll do a build back into the drop. So.
connection, desire. Let's get it started.
Let's add a bit of a let's keep the rhythm going. This is a bit of an Oliver Heldens thing as well. So we're just going to grab all of that and we're going to get like a finger click, like so. Drum hits, finger clicks, where would they be? Miscellaneous, probably. Okay. I'm going to just load up Splice for this then. Finger snap. That's perfect. Let's take that. And now, in fact, I may as well just kind of load it into its own channel. For the sake of brevity. Okay, let's find it. Recently added. So we're just going to add this on every other one.
Burning like fire.
And we'll add some hall reverb too to give it some size. No, some room reverb.
Get it started.
So now check this out. This is how I'm going to do this build.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection, desire. Let's get it started. Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection, desire. Let's get it started.
Now, I don't know if this is really Oliver Heldens style, but it's kind of, this is what my body's telling me to do, so I'm going to listen to it. So if we grab this bass line here, and then stick it there, we're going to filter out some of these low frequencies on the bass by putting a high pass filter. Let's do this. Let's just do this. There we go. This is how it's going to lead into the drop. So we are going to copy and paste this again, and this will be going back into the drop. And let's introduce this other vocal. I'm working as quick as I can, guys. This is the most in depth I've ever shown on one of these things.
Let's get it started. Show me the moves you. Don't fight the feeling. Let's get.
We're gonna keep doing this, and we're gonna add this reverb to kind of fade it out into the distance. So wet, dry, boom. Make this big.
Don't leave me here.
And we'll take the volume down as well.
Don't fight the feeling. Let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got. Yeah. Don't leave me hanging. The music's banging. I'll show you mine. Just watch. Yeah.
So it's gonna end up being something like that. Except we want the big, we want this bass to have massive impact when it comes in. So this is how we're gonna do it. We'll take the frequency up.
Just watch. Yeah. Oh, you mind just watch. Oh, you mind just watch. Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of like this, except we're going to add some reverb to that bass as well. I'm showing you too much. Right, okay. I got excited. I absolutely think this is a banging track. So let's just add this reverb here. But this comes in nicely to what I was going to show you earlier.
Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging, the music's banging. I'll show you mine, just watch, yeah.
And then we've got so basically you take some of the power out of the bass by having, I should really have coloured all this stuff because I can't see what's going on now. So the bass, obviously you only want that filter happening in the break.
Yeah. Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah.
Let's add some delay to that as well.
Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging.
And we're going to add some sidechain pump to that so it sits in the mix better. Where are you, vocals? There's so much going on now.
Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging, the music's banging. I'll show you mine, just watch, yeah. Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging.
And then you'd add more delay, like incidental delay shots on the vocals.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection desire. Let's get it started.
So with that bass, you can have a little bit of tension in the middle before that intro by doing the same. Like so, just add the reverb. Like so, we're taking out some of the bass before the drop. Okay, let's properly copy all of that stuff over onto the next drop.
Don't fight the feeling, let's get revealing. Show me the moves you got, yeah. Don't leave me hanging. I'll show you mine, just watch, yeah.
Except we need the drum intro there, and that's pretty much it, guys. I'm gonna do one more thing, just because I know that that track he did with Riton was massive last year. The one that samples Yazoo. So what I'm going to do, just for a little treat, a little Friday frisson, I'm going to add another one of these massives. And I'm just going to search for some kind of brass sound and then muck about. This is kind of the end, but it's a bit of a bonus if you want to hear it. Like, that sounds very Yazoo-y. Except I'm going to be playing it in the key of D minor, obviously, so it fits in. Just work out the notes. Okay, I'm going to play along in the break. Yeah.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection desire. Let's get it started.
So you can.
Burning like fire, pulling like a wire, connection desire. Let's get it started.
So you can see everything works if it's in the same key. Yes, I definitely accept this. Let's play in some chords. There you go, guys. Boom. That is house music in the style of Oliver Heldens. I went a bit off piece there because I got excited. That's what I do. It happens. Deal with it. As usual, download all of the samples below this project and the project file too. Below this video, Getting Tired, you see, there we go. Thanks for watching. As usual, all of what I just said. Thanks for subscribing, and until next time, cheers and happy producing.